Imagine a place so cold that your breath turns to ice the moment it leaves your lips. A place where the sun disappears for months at a time, leaving you in 24 hours of total darkness. This is Antarctica, the southernmost and least populated continent on our planet. It is the coldest, windiest, and driest place on Earth. It holds the record for the lowest temperature ever measured, a bone-chilling -89.2 degrees Celsius. But beneath its frozen beauty lies a history of incredible ambition and the greatest survival story in human history. Today we are taking you to the Great White South. We'll explore the vast polar desert that holds 70% of the world's freshwater and uncover the legendary 1914 expedition of Sir Ernest Shackleton, where 28 men faced impossible odds against the ice. How did they survive in a world without GPS, smartphones, or any way to call for help? Let's dive into the mystery of the frozen continent. Before we get to the heroics, we must understand the beast these explorers were fighting. Antarctica is the fifth largest continent, 40% larger than Europe. It is almost entirely covered by a massive ice sheet that is, on average, 1.9 kilometers thick. If all this ice melted, global sea levels would rise by nearly 60 meters. It is a land of extremes. While the coast can reach a mild 10 degrees Celsius in the summer, the interior is a different world, with temperatures dropping below -80 degrees in the winter. Technically, this is a polar desert. The interior receives less than 50 millimeters of precipitation per year. It is divided into east and west by the Transantarctic Mountains, and it even features active volcanoes like Mount Erebus, the southernmost active volcano in the world. Despite these harsh conditions, life finds a way. Along the coast, you'll find penguins, seals, and tiny organisms like mites and tardigrades. In the surrounding Southern Ocean, Antarctic krill serve as the keystone species, feeding everything from squids to massive blue whales. But for humans, this was once the final unconquered frontier. By the early 20th century, the South Pole had been reached by Roald Amundsen in 1911. But one man, Sir Ernest Shackleton, wanted more. His goal? To cross the entire continent on foot, a journey of 2,900 kilometers. On November 4th, 1914, his ship, the Endurance, sailed toward the Weddell Sea. Shackleton was warned by local whalers that the ice conditions were dangerous, but he pressed on. By January 1915, the disaster began. The Endurance became trapped in dense pack ice, only 60 miles from their landing point. For months, the crew lived on the ship as it drifted with the ice, helplessly watching the Antarctic winter approach. By October, the pressure of the ice became too much. The ship's hull began to crack. Shackleton realized the ship was doomed and gave the order: abandon ship. On October 27, 1915, the Endurance was crushed, eventually sinking 10,000 feet to the bottom of the Weddell Sea. The crew was now stranded on a floating piece of ice, thousands of miles from civilization, with no radio and only a month's worth of food. What would you do if your only home was a piece of ice that could break at any moment? For over a year, Shackleton's crew lived in ocean camp on the floating ice. They survived by hunting seals and penguins. And Shackleton often lied about their food supplies to keep their spirits high. As their ice floe melted and drifted into the dangerous Drake Passage, the deadliest stretch of ocean in the world with 12-meter-high waves, they had to act. They boarded 3 small lifeboats and made a desperate 5-day journey to Elephant Island. It was the first time they had stood on solid ground in 497 days. But Elephant Island was a deserted rock. No one was coming to save them. Shackleton knew that to save his men, he had to do the impossible. He took 5 men in a 20-foot lifeboat, the James Caird, and sailed 1,300 kilometers across the world's most violent ocean towards South Georgia Island. With only a sextant for navigation and facing constant storms, they reached the island after 17 days. But they landed on the wrong side. To reach the whaling station, Shackleton and two others had to climb 10,000-foot icy mountains that had never been crossed before. And they did it in 36 hours without any climbing gear. When Shackleton finally reached the whaling station, he was unrecognizable. His hair was long, his face was blackened by soot, and his clothes were in rags. But he didn't stop to rest. He immediately began organizing a rescue for the 22 men left behind on Elephant Island. It took 4 attempts over 3 months to break through the ice. Finally, on August 30th, 1916, the rescue ship arrived. To the world's shock, every single one of the 28 men survived. Shackleton failed his original mission to cross the continent, but he succeeded in something much greater. He didn't lose a single life. In 2022, 106 years after it sank, the wreck of the Endurance was found in nearly perfect condition at the bottom of the sea. Today, Antarctica is protected by the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, which bans military activity and mining, dedicating the continent to peace and science. It is home to over 70 research stations where scientists study everything from climate change to the origins of our solar system using meteorites preserved in the ice. Antarctica remains a land of mystery. Recent discoveries have found thriving ecosystems deep beneath its ice shelves, filled with giant sea spiders and octopuses. But it is also a continent at risk. Climate change is causing ice sheets to melt, which could add centimeters to global sea levels by the end of the century. Whether it's the heroic survival of explorers from the past or the critical work of scientists today, Antarctica reminds us of the power of nature and the resilience of the human spirit. As we look toward the future, the Great White South stands as a symbol of international cooperation and a reminder that even in the harshest places on Earth, we must work together to survive. And I thank you for joining us on this journey to the end of the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories of our planet. Until next time.